All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Today's going to be a little bit of one of those topics that um, may rub some people the wrong way, and I'm okay with that. I think it's a conversation that is happening all over the state of Michigan, and it's a conversation that I've had strong opinions on for years now. And so, what we're talking about here is the youth hunt here in Michigan as it relates to the archery bow season, which opens October 1st. So yesterday it opened up, and I I'm one of the I'm not an advocate for the youth hunt. We'll start off there. So I'll give you a little bit of history about myself. I'm obviously from Michigan. I come from a deer hunting family. We are I would call us beyond enthusiast. So we love hunting. Every year the family would get together. We'd go all over the state at different times. We had property when I was younger that we leased out, and it was really a part of my childhood here in the great state of Michigan. And there was no guarantees when it came to hunting. Um, I've even been so much as I've owned an archery shop myself. So, and I only say that just to kind of put an explanation point on the fact that, deer hunting was a major part of who I am, my identity. And that's all kind of died over the years. And the youth hunt is part of that. Now, we're not going to exclude the fact that the early firearm doe season that took place here. Let's see. This year it was September 21st and 22nd. So here's the point. So the youth hunt. Well, first of all, let's step back. Archery hunting. The reason that I've always enjoyed it more so than rifle season, which, by the way, my birthday is November 15th, which is like a national holiday here in Michigan for a lot of people, or at least it used to be. And the fact is that the hunting numbers are down in Michigan, and I think that the youth hunt and this early firearm antlerless season are part of the reason. So one of the things about archery hunting is that, and that I love so much, is that it's an absolute challenge, and it's not a challenge where you just have to get out in the woods and be really quiet and then deer show up. It's a challenge to where when you really start getting into it, you're able to understand the patterns that the deer that you're chasing are following, and you have to learn to be stealthy. You have to get in very close proximity when it comes to archery hunting, and not so much so when you're using a crossbow, but even with a crossbow, you're still within the distance that deer can hear you. They do know you're there. They can wind you. And you have to get extremely creative, whether it be with the tree stands or the camouflage or the scent. I mean, there's a lot involved for most deer hunters when it comes to that. But patterning deer is huge. Now, especially now that that you're looking at no baiting. So this year in 2019, you're no longer allowed to bait, and that's just for this year. There's no as far as I know, there's nothing saying how much longer that'll go, whether it'll be a 1-year ban on baiting or whether it will go longer. Don't know. Nobody can answer that yet. Matter of fact, let's step over to our favorite Uncle Ted, and let's just hear a little bit of what our favorite Uncle Ted has to say about baiting, and we can have that discussion too for those of you that are on here live. And if you replay this later on, that's okay too. But let's just listen to Teddy Boy. And if you can hear this, let me know. If you can't, this is new equipment from my friends over at Sweetwater. They hooked me up, and so if you're looking for live streaming or podcast equipment, Sweetwater is now getting involved in that, and they're not a sponsor of this video, but I just want to give them a shout out because I appreciate them. And every order that you get from Sweetwater, you get a package of candy, if that means anything to you. But let's listen to Ted here, and then we'll talk about the baiting situation before I get a little bit deeper into the youth hunt in the early doe firearm season.
I would challenge anybody in this room to tell me what scientific miracle takes place when you relocate an apple from under the millions of apple trees in Michigan closer to a young man's deer stand in Calcasta. I'll tell you what happens. Nothing. Russ Mason, chief of the DNR, admitted if you hunt deer over bait and feed, you are not a conservationist. How dare he? The law banning feeding and baiting in Michigan is going to chase hunting families out of the sport for absolutely no reason. If a disease can be transmitted by nose-to-nose contact, there is not a damn thing you can do about it. Because the minute a deer is born, they lick and groom and swap spit. They all go to a licking branch. If you don't know what a licking branch is, there's one every couple acres in Michigan. And every deer chews the branch. Every deer shares preorbital gland. Every deer licks and chews on that branch, and every subsequent deer absorbs that body fluid.
All right, so we're going to leave it at that. And, Uncle Ted makes a great scientific point, and that if the reason for baiting is to stop baiting is to stop the spread of disease, the people that are making those decisions don't appear to understand how deer live in nature, and so you're not going to stop them. It's part of their nature to, as he said, lick branches, to communicate. And so that saliva, if that is the main reason for stopping baiting, he's absolutely right. That's just not something that you're going to be able to stop. So anyways, that's the baiting issue. So how does baiting play into the decline of archery hunting here in the state of Michigan? Well, we've already discussed the fact that it's very difficult to hunt deer. I mean, it's an art, there is some luck every so often. You just happen to be in the right spot at the right time. And that happened even to myself when I was very young. I had several instances where I had young spikes that showed up, and I shot and missed. And, at one point on one of the deer, I actually climbed out of my tree stand, retrieved my arrows, climbed back up my tree stand, and still got another shot, and never did get that deer. I mean, but that was where the love started. The challenge is that, a deer would come in and you'd lose them, man. I mean, they would disappear on me. Like, they would come in, they would scent me. They would come in, they'd hear a little noise, and my toe would move the wrong way. It was all of the challenge and the excitement. Baiting gave you a little bit of an advantage because you could change patterns. So let's say that you don't have hundreds and hundreds of acres that are available to you, and you can't start patterning deer and finding them and figuring out the best place, to set up to harvest the deer. And let's say that you only have a 5-acre parcel or a 10-acre parcel. Probably 5 acres is probably a better example. Now you just want to give yourself a chance. So you bring bait in. Now, I've experienced enough in my life to realize that baiting doesn't mean a guarantee that you're going to get deer. The smart ones, the older ones, the mature deer, they know what's going on. And if you've ever used any kind of trail camera systems, or if you've used some very effective scent blocking type clothing, you'll realize that the big deers, they usually come in last. They don't actually show up immediately. They start looking up in the trees. They know what's going on. They've been educated, and it's why they're old, mature deer in most cases. So it's a huge challenge. So baiting is somewhat of an advantage, but it just gives people opportunity, but it doesn't eliminate all the other factors. So baiting isn't an unfair advantage, in my opinion, because I grew up baiting until now it's illegal. And I will tell you that Mike Avery actually had a comment this morning that I agree with. So it doesn't matter what side of this argument you're on. If you're on the side, if you believe that that baiting it's not the right thing for the state, it's hurting the state. That's great. That's an argument that I think that you should have, but it's not your place to break the law. And so we're a state of law-abiding citizens. Matter of fact, I've read recently that we are the greatest state in the union. By somebody's poll, so might be Michigander poll, but they basically said that we're the greatest state in the union, and that's awesome. I love that. So, but the point is that when it comes to baiting, I think that their argument for taking it away isn't going to change the issues that are going on in the deer population. I don't think that it's going to eliminate those different diseases that are out there that they're finding. I would say that if you are new to deer hunting, or maybe even if you're not new, if you're not sure how to look for different diseases, I would say that when you harvest your deer, take it to a reputable processor. That way they know what they're looking for. They have experience, and in most cases they work with the DNR officers to make sure that if anything's found, it's taken care of immediately. If you do your own processing, which is a tradition here in Michigan, that's fine. Just make sure that you're aware of what you're looking for and that you're able to work in concert with our DNR officers to make sure that your safety is taken care of, along with the other parts of the population. So anyway, so I think that baiting is part of the issue, but youth hunt has been my biggest problem. Now, I have children that are of age, and they can actually participate in the youth hunt, and I've never allowed them because I actually feel so strongly about this. And the reason I feel so strongly about it is because I've already established the fact, my opinion, I shouldn't say fact, my opinion, that deer hunting is such a challenge. And I used to put in a lot of time getting food plots ready, baiting when it was legal, getting my tree stands set up properly, becoming stealth, buying a lot of, equipment over the years as far as, clothing that was scent free, really patterning the deer or helping the deer pattern to where I would like them. So tons of effort was put in, and it was always within October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere within the first few days that my opportunities presented themselves to harvest a deer. And I was never really a trophy hunter, but, I would pass on younger deer, if they were I tried to shoot spikes and things like that. But, in our family, most of us kind of did it the same way. We would either take that first deer immediately, or if we chose to pass up, then you start looking at later on in the season, towards the end of the season. And then, anything legal that comes in, is fair game. So because there is some, you're always kind of wondering, is that older deer, hiding in the background, making sure everything is safe, because I've experienced that more than once in my hunting life, that's what deer do. So it's such a challenge to have deer, to actually have deer, show up on October 1st. And so what happens when you have the youth hunt and you have this early deer hunt, here's the problem. The problem is that, even in deer season, rifle season here in Michigan, that's always November 15th, traditionally every year. And I know they've been trying to change that for years too. But the minute the deer get bombarded with gunshots and bombarded with people, they go nocturnal. They just do. I mean, I'd love to say that it's, that's not the case, but it is. So unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it is. Once the woods are bombarded with hunters, the deer realize something's up and they end up going nocturnal, unfortunately. And so when October 1st rolls around, so the youth hunt, we'll pull this up here. So the youth hunt actually runs, let's see here. So Liberty Hunt, September 14th through 15th. You have the firearm season, 21st through 22nd. You have all of these events that happen before October 1st. So what I'm saying here is that when you have all these people out in the woods, the deer, by the time October 1st comes around, they're gone. They're nocturnal, and they don't come back. They don't come back to the bow hunters until the rut starts. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. Now, when the rut starts, they get a little goofy, right? I mean, that's a Bernardism, but they get a little goofy, right? I mean, they, all of a sudden the bucks can't control themselves and they're running around all day long or all night long, and their patterns start to change a little bit. So that's where the rifle season gets, to where the opportunities happen again. And in a lot of cases, sometimes it's late October. And now I know a lot of people are out there thinking, well, just become a better hunter, just, adapt. The problem is that if you're looking at the population as a whole, that it stops becoming exciting. And speaking of becoming exciting and something that people like to, do as far as hunting goes, that is something that I actually believe that when you put a child out there, because they're getting what I used to get on October 1st, they're now getting in early mid-September. And so they're getting opportunities, and we all see it. We love seeing it. I love seeing the kids have this opportunity to hunt and harvest. But it's easy, right, for them. If their parent, which in most cases what happens, their parent puts all the time in to do all of the things that we used to do for ourselves, then they do that for the child, and then the child is able to harvest their deer, maybe the biggest deer they'll ever shoot their entire life, and which would have been the deer their parent would have gotten, because they know what they're doing. And I think what happens is, and it's part of the decline in Michigan hunters, is that I think that they end up, let's see here. Sorry, I get messages. That's one of the problems with going live, is you get a lot of things that happen, and you got to check them. But anyways, so I think what happens for the youth is that the youth actually are successful early. They don't run into those challenges that get you like fired up. Like, I'm going to go, like if you make a mistake as an adult, you miss a deer, you pat them wrong, they scent you, make a call when you shouldn't. I mean, all the things that we do wrong, and that gets us fired up. Like, gosh, I want to make sure that I do it right the next time. I want to overcome this the next time. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. Well, the youth, like by the time it gets to, so let's say this, it's such an advantage to be out there early, especially early with a gun, because now you're not even the challenge of bow hunting, which is very challenging to get a deer that close to you. So now you're out there in an early season with a rifle or a shotgun, and you're becoming successful. Now, when you turn an adult, you're no longer part of the youth hunt. And guess what? October 1st comes around and there's no deer. So you're sitting in the woods for days and days and days, no success. You're not even seeing deer. You don't even make it to the rifle season. By the time the rifle season comes around, kids with the attention span that they have been taught over the years now, they're like, forget it, man. There's no point to being here. There's no point to being out in the woods if I'm not even seeing deer. Well, you're not seeing deer because of the youth hunt and the special early hunts that have gun hunters out there. Now, if the youth hunt was archery only, maybe, right? Maybe that would be something different. But when you put the guns out there, you make the deer go nocturnal. And when you make the deer go nocturnal, it's not exciting anymore. And so even if a youth shot the biggest, giantest, not a word, buck out there some point in their life, when they get to adult age, the excitement's gone, man. They're never going to do better than that, right? They're just not. It's just not going to happen. So I think that the youth hunt is actually detrimental to the Michigan hunting tradition. The hunting is not what, as Mike Avery said this morning, hunting is not what it was. What today's hunting is not my hunting. It's not the hunting that I grew up with. And I believe what I grew up with was much better than what they're doing now. Now, do I think there shouldn't be a youth hunt? I'm willing to compromise in my thoughts, and I have over the years, and the people that I've talked to specifically, I think that, my compromise is more this. If you want the kids to have the opportunity, then let the bow hunters in first. Let the legal adult age bow hunters come in first. And matter of fact, let them come in too. So if it's already been determined, and we'll get back to that page here in just 1 second because I don't want to, but if it's already been determined that, mid-September is an okay time to start harvesting deer. By the way, in other states, it's in August, and they actually hunt deer that are still in their velvet. And anybody that's been watching any of the hunting shows on TV have seen this, and that's not something that we do here in Michigan. So if it's okay to hunt at that point, if that's not something that bothers you, because some people think that there's different times, so if it's okay to do that, then let's start the archery season early, and let's have these special other hunts in October. So let's say that from September 15th to September 30th, you're going to go ahead and let the bow hunters out there, right? Bow hunting only, no rifles, no guns, nothing. Bow hunting only at any age you want. You can let it be youth hunting. You can go back to where it was 12 years old, which is what I had when I was a kid. 12 years old, you can go out and start archery hunting, or maybe even take it a step back where they can be 10 years old as long as they're with an adult. Whatever makes sense, but let the bow hunters out there earlier, and then let the youth go have their special hunt. Then let the seniors and the disabled have their special hunts. Let the rifles come out if you need to, and maybe that season only runs, a couple of different weekends. So maybe the first week in October, the second week of October, and then it's back to bow hunting. Back to bow hunting all the way until November 15th. And the reason I say that is because now you've given the woods a couple of weeks where the guns are gone, and that natural rut that's going to come in late October is going to it's still going to produce the way that it always has, where the deer get a little bit goofy and crazy. Now a lot of your deer still stay nocturnal. They do that risk because they're trying to survive. So I'm not saying that I don't want to compromise on this subject. I'm not saying I don't want to compromise on the idea. I'm just saying that what our legislators have done in the state of Michigan has ruined. It's the reason the population of hunting has died in Michigan, in my opinion. Now, if you disagree, I would love to hear your comments, your arguments. If you agree, then say that you agree. Whatever it is, I'm willing to listen to the conversation. But I'm so strong on this is that I don't even get excited anymore. I mean, now I've moved, and there's some reasons, behind why I'm not hunting this year, but it didn't even bother. Like when October 1st happened yesterday, it didn't even faze me that I missed it. And I used to live for October 1st. Matter of fact, I probably was not too good of an employee, probably starting somewhere in June, July, when my bow hunting fever started. I loved it so much, as I said in the beginning, I owned an archery shop. I wanted to live in the industry of archery. And I think that what we've done is we've just made a mistake, because there's people out there that just don't understand bow hunting. They don't understand the argument. And then there's some people out there that, they unfortunately, they see this as an advantage for themselves. And I don't want to get into the pointing fingers too much, but I will tell you that I personally believe that there are a significant amount of adults that go into the youth hunt and they harvest the deer for their child. I know that nobody likes to talk about that, but I think that is an unproven fact. So I know I use the word fact, but everybody in Michigan, if you bring that subject up, they all kind of go, yeah, right? So, that's just my thought. I mean, these lives have been very business related in the past, and I'm switching things up a little bit. I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about, whatever is passionate in my life. So this is my personal Facebook page. Yes, I am streaming on OAF Life, the YouTube page for OAF Life, because that one's going to turn around a little bit more too, and we're going to be talking about. So just so you know, OAF stands for old as F. You can say whatever F means to you, but old as F. And the kids like to say frick. So it's and it's really was intended in the beginning to be about getting older and some of the challenges that we have with your health. I've had some health issues recently, so I think that it's probably a good opportunity to switch that channel up and really start talking about aging and some of the things that we go through and that we should be careful with. And it's going to be a little bit of a vlog-ish style channel. We'll see. And then, of course, I always do, I'm still doing the coaching. So I'm helping people that have goals. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you've got goals and objectives in your life and you're trying to reach them, I have a very effective coaching program that I can help put you through to have you reach those goals as fast as possible. And the faster, the better. So my goal isn't to keep you as a client forever. My goal is to get you where you want to go as fast as you can and start seeing success. And so that's been great. I'd like to say that in some respect, that's who this video today is sponsored by, is me and my business. But I digress. So anyway, so if you guys have any comments or anything as it relates to the youth hunt, I would love to hear your opinion. I think that it's the reason that we've had a downfall of Michigan hunters. And I know the entire nation, my cousin actually works in the industry, and he said the entire nation of hunters have went down significantly over the years. I think he says something like a decrease of over 13% on average per year over the last 5 years is how many hunters we've been losing. And there's a lot of other reasons for that nationally. The gun laws that people are afraid of, they don't like, and the bullying that happens on social media when people put up their, they're excited about, the deer that they got or whatever game that they were hunting, and they get bashed by people that don't agree with that lifestyle. And then, so you hear all this stuff. I think there's a lot of reasons that are beyond that. But here in Michigan, I guess I'm putting out that the youth hunt, the early firearm seasons, being placed in front of the bow season is a huge mistake, and it's why we're losing hunters. It's why we're losing people to the outdoors. So if you have an opinion on it, or if you want to have a counterpoint, or you want to have a discussion, we could even do it on here. I have the ability to put us on together live if you'd ever like to do that. We'll just leave it at that, man. So I appreciate you guys being here with me. And we're going to end this video with a little outro music, but I really do appreciate those of you that are on here. If you're watching this on the replay, please let me know that. And again, thanks to my buddies over at Sweetwater for hooking me up with a sweet deal on some of the equipment that I'm using. And if you guys would like more information on what I use to do these streams, just reach out to me and I will be happy to help you. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and we will talk to you soon.